E1, Inequality and Age Discrimination. So far in this course, we've been talking about some basic social functions that help shape an individual's personality and taking a micro-level look at how we make rational choices in social exchange. In the second half of this term, we'll be focusing more on the macro-level perspective, examining less the effects of our personality and decisions, and more the way larger social structures shape our life chances, the opportunities we have for health, happiness, and the freedom to choose. I think that it's still important to remember the micro-level view. If society is a river, the macro level tells us that social currents push it along. Functionalists would say the stream is constructed and the current flows in the way that helps the river flow best. Conflict theorists would say that the big fish use the currents to push the little fish into creating streams that keep the big fish powerful. But micro-level interactionists would say that both the river's many streams and currents are created by each individual fish. If I just float along where the current takes me, it might be because I feel powerless. If I swim against the current but don't get anywhere, it might be because I don't understand the river's paths. Studying sociology shows us the river map. It helps us understand how the movement of our fins affects the stream and the others around us, and how to swim most effectively to change our paths. Nothing we talk about for the rest of this course is intended to tell you the way things should be, how they've always been or will be in the future, or even the way things are in every society or every individual's life. We're simply taking a broad look at some of what has led this society to the present moment and how it may be affecting our lives. Much of our focus from this point on will be the conflict perspective. We'll be talking about social inequality, the haves and the have-nots. We're all well aware that some individuals have more wealth than others, and that is one of Max Weber's 3 dimensions of inequality. For some in our society, $500 is the difference between paying rent and being homeless, while for others it might mean a single evening's dinner out. Individuals also may differ in their level of power, the ability to get what you want against the will of others. Politicians can send us to war, and police can shove protesters back when they don't obey orders. My authority within this class gives me the power to decide what we study, and of course your final grade. Finally, different people may have different amounts of prestige. While someone who wins the lottery may gain great wealth, they are unlikely to get the same kind of respect given to someone who's made less money but through their own skill and effort as a doctor. Prestige depends on status, but also on perspective, so we'll be looking mostly at the kind of prestige valued by the dominant culture. In other words, while a tall mohawk gets you respect in the punk subculture, a tie is more prestigious when applying for a job. But inequality is bigger than just individuals. Built into the structures of our society is a hierarchy of unequal groups, what sociologists call our stratification system. The most obvious stratification is wealth, because as Karl Marx pointed out, in most of human history there has been some who are wealthy and some who are poor. The level of inequality between groups may change and middle-class groups may emerge, but the basic stratified hierarchy remains. For individuals within such a system, the question is, can I move between these layers? Movement between levels is what we call social mobility. Movement towards wealth, power, and respect is upwardly mobile, while movement towards poverty, powerlessness, and disrespect is downwardly mobile. How you feel about social stratification probably depends on whether you feel like social mobility is open for you. After all, wealth inequality may not sound so bad if it's an open system where you can climb from rags to riches. On the other hand, if you feel like you are closed off, trapped in your lower level, such inequality may seem more damaging. Some stratification systems are much more open than others, and the classic image of the glass ceiling refers to a system that looks like open social mobility, but in reality closes off how far you can climb. Stratification systems where social mobility is completely closed, where whole groups are ascribed a master status that decides individual social roles and opportunities, we call caste systems. Royal families are a social caste, and in traditional monarchies, if you weren't born into that royal caste, you could never become queen or king. It is your status group privilege. It is your status group prestige that provides opportunities for wealth and power. Stratification systems where social mobility is mostly open are called class systems. Ideally, even if you are born into an underclass of poverty, individuals can work their way up to achieve a status of upper class. In a class system, it is supposed to be your work that determines your level of wealth, which may or may not come with prestige, and power. In the next two modules, we'll be talking about gender, race, and other ways that we group people into categories. While these are not true castes in the United States today, they have limited social mobility in the past and may still affect individuals' life chances today. But not everyone will have the chance to experience life as a dominant or minority group, including gender. Yet we all experience the process of aging, and the differing opportunities open to us at different life stages. If we think of the dominant group as being able-bodied middle adults, how might being younger or older make us unequal? While an individual young person may be rich and an individual older person may be poor, on average young people, even in their mid-30s, have significantly less wealth than older people. Of course, older people have been working longer and earned more money, but the gap between old and young has actually grown in recent decades. This wealth stratification affects the power of young people to move forward with their lives, closing off the movement out of adolescent social roles. But beyond a certain age, many older people too feel their power diminishing. Lacking the power to defend themselves and control their lives, many face abuse from neglect to theft to violence. Why do we allow nursing homes to operate without proper staff? Do the elderly lack the prestige to be afforded proper care? We are taught to respect our parents growing up, and yet it is younger family members that are responsible for most of this abuse. Because violence is power, and we use violence to force obedience on the powerless. Children may lack physical power, but they also lack the power to seek help or other living situations. If an elderly person tells someone about abuse, will they be dismissed as senile? If a child does, will they be dismissed as troublemakers? Parents fear for their children's safety in the world outside, but it is within the family that many of the worst abuses happen. Our culture once ignored issues of family sex abuse and accepted physical violence against children as more or less normal. Both children and the elderly may find their social mobility closed off by the prejudice of those around them. Prejudice is a bias about people, a belief in some groups' stereotypes or their larger place in society, whether superiority or inferiority. One might believe that old people are weak, and from that prejudice may come discrimination, or action that creates advantage or disadvantage for a particular group. So one might discriminate by refusing to hire an older person for a construction job. Prejudice comes in many forms, several of which we'll touch on in the next few lessons. Ableism and ageism involve beliefs and discrimination against people of a particular life stage or with a disability. But gender and sexuality, race and ethnicity, and even wealth itself may affect a person's views and actions of other people.